Well, ladies and gentlemen, in this video, I am going to be looking at the stadium differences from NCAA 14 to where we are now in college football 25. It's a pretty cool comparison, and I did get these photos from CFB Kings on Twitter or X, so I think this is a really neat idea. And obviously, it is a little bit of a shame with the video game College Football 25, that is, not giving us generic stadiums. Technically, they do have one generic stadium, Hawaii. That is from, I mean, they just took that from Madden and plopped it in. And I guess because they didn't want to use Hawaii's like practice stadium or whatever. They also are not using Northwestern's practice stadium, which they're putting up with temporary seats either. And I don't think they have Arrowhead in the game, which is technically where Kansas is going to be playing this year because their stadium is under renovation. And we're going to get to Kansas in a second. I thought they were going to add the renovated Kansas Stadium, but they're not. Apparently, it's still the old one. So you can take a look at this first one. This is Alabama. So this is basically the same. I mean, obviously, there's going to be better graphics in College Football 25. I guess that maybe they added two scoreboards. It doesn't even look like that. That looks an exact carbon copy. Now, Alabama did get a big seating expansion, but that was like 12, 13, 14 years ago. So I will say, when you look at these, the sky is just so much more beautiful in NCAA football 14. It's not even close. I guess maybe it's not realistic, but I just love that sky. And then college football 25, you can see that shadow, but that shadow unfortunately does not move throughout the game. It's very annoying that it doesn't go across the field and we get the progressive day to night switch, especially for the 3:30 games. Next, you have the Rose Bowl. So, I mean, you can see at the bottom, unfortunately, you don't get the sunset during the game because the sun stays exactly where it is. NCAA 14, very weird. There's like a forest surrounding the stadium. You can't even see the mountains back there. So, just kind of an odd design, but they do have that beautiful sky when you compare these two. These are two different stadiums. This is like the neutral site SEC championship situation. You've got Mercedes-Benz at the bottom. They just imported that stadium from Madden, changed a few things around. They also do host national championships, or they have at least hosted, I think, one national championship. And then up top, it is the Georgia Dome. It was kind of a crappy dome located in Atlanta. It only lasted like 2 decades, I think, and it was replaced by Mercedes-Benz. The next one, we have AT&T Stadium. This is very strange. So if you look at College Football 25, I don't know what the situation was here, but look at like the right side, the upper deck and the middle stands. There's not even stands in there. It looks like it's under construction. I think that was a glitch. Like, I know they have the dynamic attendance and all that, the dynamic crowd, which, by the way, I do think needs to be neutered a little bit because some of these games you see like 5 people there and it's really not realistic. But at least, we do have that situation. I guess the big difference in this is if you look at the glass, the big glass behind the end zone, you can see it's a lot more clear in college football 25, but obviously AT&T Stadium, not a huge difference. It certainly does look better in college football 25, but it is strange that I think it's just a game glitch, honestly, that all of those seats are just straight up missing. It's not even like nobody's sitting in them. It's like the stadium is legitimately under construction. The next one, this was a real shame and very surprising. So this is Oregon State. They just had a huge renovation, like $75 million. They played with this, like with the renovation last year. That was the first year. And they, for whatever reason, did not put it in college football 25. Nobody was even talking about this because I think everyone just assumed it was going to be in the game. But they've still got that, crappy, just bigger, lower bowl there in college football 25. Apparently, it's coming in an update, or at least possibly coming to where they will show the renovated version for Oregon State. I'm very surprised they didn't add that considering the renovation was completed before the start of last season. Next, you do have Missouri. Missouri's getting their one end zone renovated. I think it's the other one, but you can see this one already got renovated from 2014 to where it is now in 2025. A lot of these stadiums just renovate their end zones. They will add social spaces. They'll add bars. They will add smaller seating. And obviously, it is a huge improvement for Missouri with that scoreboard overhead, and it just presents itself way better in college football 25. Next, you do have NC State. So I don't know if this was just what they decided to do, but it is kind of interesting. If you look at the 2014 game, you can see like little sections behind, like right under the scoreboard to the left and to the right, and then those are gone. I don't know if they just took those out, but it looks like it's the exact same seating configuration outside of those weird, almost like extended sections there. And then the trees are a little bit different, obviously way better in College Football 25, just way better graphics. We would expect that, 11 years later. Taking a look at Virginia Tech, they've got relatively similar setup here at Lane Stadium. They did add, it looks like, to the right of the new game. They've got some type of, I don't know if it's a practice facility overlooking it. So that certainly that makes it look better. And then also a much bigger scoreboard. So the newer game, it does look better. It's a little bit of an improved stadium, kind of adding some of those trees there off to the right, some taller trees as well. And so that is Lane Stadium. And they also do have this renovation in the game, which is almost complete. It will be complete at the start of this year. It is Texas Tech. That's a beautiful renovation they're doing at what to Jones AT&T Stadium. They've got like that brick going all the way around it. It's almost like an old Western classy vibe to it. Like they've got all the brick arches, and then above that, they've got a bunch of suites, a bunch of maybe restaurants, bars. Pretty cool renovation for Texas Tech, and they're selling their tickets well. Apparently, they already have all the season tickets sold out, and you can see also a smaller section of seating below that. You always need that if you're a Power 4 university. Next, we do have Washington. So there you have the dreaded track going around the field in NCAA 14. Of course, all the Power 4 schools have since removed that. I think Kansas was the last one to have it, and it's been removed everywhere. And also, they did upgrade. I mean, this stadium does still look like it needs a renovation. At least it needs to be closed off and possibly add like a futuristic looking end zone renovation like all the teams are doing. I mean, even Vanderbilt did it to both of their end zones. So you would think Washington, I'm surprised because that end zone looks very lackluster. It just looks way too open. I mean, I guess you have the pine trees back there and that's a cool aesthetic, but if you're Washington, considering you had, the crazy run last year, maybe you got some more money. This stadium does have a bigger upper deck, though, Husky Stadium, and it's got those two massive overhangs as well. Yeah, this was the dynamic seating, dynamic attendance that I was talking about. This is just, it looks like there's 10 people at the game. This seems like an overkill. The big overkill is like Army hosting games. I saw a picture with Army, and they were 2-4, and the attendance looked like this, and that's really never the case. I mean, Army has bad attendance, but it's never this bad. So I do think the dynamic attendance is a little bit of an overkill. But, I guess beggars can't be choosers. Everyone wanted that, and they kind of just, put it on steroids a little bit just because I think, my God, there's like 10 people at this game. I know Tulsa's not a very good team, and, in this sim, they're 3-3, but you'd think there'd be at least a little bit more. Looks like a high school game or something is being played there, so maybe a little unrealistic. This next one, this is Arkansas. So they added a very, very nice end zone renovation since 2014. And they completely closed up their stadium with 3 different smaller sections of seating. It looks like on top there you also do have maybe some bar areas as well. They've also got a nice scoreboard up there. Certainly way better than what they had in 2014, where it looks like just some athletic center, which is really bad with no seating back there. So a very nice improvement by Arkansas. Also, they've got, I don't know if those are just to the left and to the right of the end zones, those big like white buildings. I'm not sure if that's just for people leaving the game or what those little towers, what their function is, but kind of an interesting design there. How about Arizona State downgrading in terms of attendance, which was the right move? Arizona State, especially the location of this, like the upper deck getting pelted with sun, it just was not a good setup. So they reduced their capacity by around 20,000. They went from like 74K to 54K. And the updated stadium kind of reminds me of Raymond James Stadium, just at least behind the end zone. There's really not much to it. I do think in an ideal world, Arizona State would build up behind their end zone a little bit and kind of close that off better. But it could be just an attendance thing. Arizona State hasn't been the best team recently, but there is that stadium. This is BYU. That's a beautiful sky with the mountains up there. Obviously, the mountains look better in the bottom photo, but they're just so more, depicted in the 2014 version. And I've been saying for a while, I think BYU has a pretty crappy stadium. People don't really talk about it because of the awesome view of the mountains, but it's really not connected anywhere. You can see the gaps in between the stands, and those have really not been fixed. You also do have Utah, so they did a really nice job closing off their stadium, very professional. Looks really good on the bottom there. This is A&M, so A&M with the massive, look at the sky on the top though, man. Wow. But yeah, they had a huge renovation with all of the seating added, the pretty crazy capacity. If you were just looking at college football stadiums, and you just showed random people to the stadiums, I think everyone would assume A&M has the highest capacity. The stadium just looks massive going all the way around, and that is compared to what they had, very little dinky seating, pretty crazy. This is Miami, so obviously Miami plays at an NFL stadium. It was probably very easy for them to import the Dolphins Hard Rock Stadium and then just change out some of the things. But you can see with the overhang on the bottom, that was a renovation that happened at around 2015 or so. But that's just some fun stadium comparisons, how far the stadiums have come. But either way, that's going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on X. Links to that's always in the description.